Good afternoon, beautiful people. You're welcome to today's Royal Afternoon Edition, the 2 p.m. news on 88.4 Royal FM. The back-to-school temperature is reaching fever point, and apart from school needs, parents also have to ensure proper nutrition of their children.
Normally, children after back to school, they must do children.
Plus, the Lamamu Hospital Complex and for treatment, but only after proper diagnosis. Staffman Abel Belasamari will be telling us more in this newscast. Out of Cameroon, Gabonese President reactions of Cameroonians following the publication of the 24-man list to tussle against Burundi come September the 12th. Ladies and gentlemen, those who are listening the Maso through the Lamamu Hospital Complex is sponsoring a special fair at the National Museum where African traditional medicine.
We have marked African Traditional Medicine Day to honor the integral role of traditional medicine in the health and welfare of generations of people on the African continent. The theme for this year, 2 decades of African Traditional Medicine Day, progress towards achieving universal healthcare coverage in Africa. Give us Open Day for traditional medicine at the National Museum. The event we started on Monday, August the 28th, 2023, will end on Thursday, August 31st, 2023, which celebrates the African Traditional Day. Dr. Peyu Disamba is one of the protagonists and organizers at the Yaoundé National Museum.
I decided to, first of all, it's important to help traditional medicines in Cameroon because here, everybody talks about conventional medicines, and usually they will say that everything that's traditional medicine is not good enough.
Traditional medicine has been the trusted, acceptable, affordable, and accessible source of health for African population for centuries. Still today, 80% of the continent's population rely on traditional medicine for their basic health needs. But in Cameroon, the government has not fully recognized traditional medicine as an alternative source of medicine. The Mutual Assistance and Solidarity Muscle through the Mamu Hospital Complex is one of the sponsors of the event. Bridget Mekono Oona is a Deputy General Supervisor at the Mamu Hospital Complex.
C'est quelque chose d'important.
It is something which is destined to help our population with.
We are here for a simple patient who started his treatment with modern medicine and end up with traditional medicine. Some good number of patients. The first is a parent with high blood pressure and another with petrophile prostrate.
Some African traditional medicine was initiated in 2023. Member states have used the day to catalyze discussion forum around national policy on traditional medicine, cultivation of medicinal plants, including training of traditional health practitioners and their collaboration with their conventional counterparts. How can this be possible? Let's take the case of the Mahmoud Hospital Complex. Daniel Long is one of the workers at the Mamu Hospital Complex.
C'est quelque chose d'important.
It is something which is destined to help our population with our equipment like scanner, X-ray, operation block, emergency and maternity. The hospital can work with traditional medicine.
La maternité.
On the African Traditional Day today, I called on the government to strengthen collaboration between science, technology and innovation institutions, traditional health practitioners and the private sector, as Dr. Peyun Disamba says.
Also for me, it's important to work with traditional healers to help them use very safe medications, and medications that are efficient. So in doing so, I have to set a good example. So I went there. We had meetings. So I had to call traditional healers that they have to submit their product for research and see if the medicine is safe.
As we celebrate African Traditional Day, it is said that eat food like medicine when you are healthy. For if you fail to eat food like medicine, when you are sick, you will eat that same medicine as food.
Back to school 2023
are left with less than a week to resume classes. Meanwhile, school authorities as well as teachers have already resumed. However, some public schools like Government Bilingual High School Molundu in the East region, teachers are still to show up. What could explain the timidity of teachers in these schools? Freeway Crispin spoke with an education trade unionist and compiled this report.
Such phenomenon is pleads with the government to address this problem in public schools, especially those in the rural areas.
Decentralization should reach every corner of this country such that anywhere you are, you feel comfortable. One other thing, you are there to prepare these children for their future and for the future of the nation. It's unprofessional not to resume work when you are supposed to. When do you prepare to receive children? When do you prepare now to teach the children? It's a sign of irresponsibility to go on the path of teachers, head teachers, principals who have not resumed.
It is worth mentioning that today marks the official result.
Been strictly prohibited in school campuses across Cameroon. The decision is contained in a circular made public by the Minister of Trade, Luc Magloire Mbarga Atangana, who has warned that teams will be sent to the fields to catch defaulters in the act.
It is not the first year. It has always been like that. And when you look at it, it is sort of an act where even in the resumption where they have to really be concentrating on the children, you enter the school, you just meet people concentrating on sales of uniform, books, and some at times do not even recognize the presence of people. And at times it's dangerous because something can happen to a child and no one will even pay attention. Minus this, at a certain moment also, it is to fight for the state now, because these schools that sell these books, I can call it black market because they buy it directly from the authors and then with a percentage, but they don't pay any tax. And since they don't pay tax, that is why they are sanctioned, because you don't have a right to run a business without paying tax in this nation. I will also plead on the side of the states that they should also help the schools by really doing critical thinking on the books that they put in program, so that it will not be forcing some schools to dive into breaching the state laws by looking for books to replace others, maybe because the content might not have really met standards.
The Minister of Transport, Jean-Ernest Massinangale Bibehe, for his part, is launching a sensitization campaign on road accidents on our highways for all transport personnel. In Porta Angwa interviewed a transport syndicate leader on this and our reports.
Looking at the frequency, the Minister of Transport.
Any action that can stop people to die is a good action for us. So we ask the minister that the campaign should be permanent and action should be also permanent, because when we come, we make it punctually, it's not good. I think that there is to be a new reform of the law of prevention and security on highways. And every day we ask that the government should create an agency that will focus its action on security and prevention on our highways.
Furthermore, he expressed dissatisfaction as these measures are not really effective following the accidents that occurred along the Gawangaunderi highway. Permanent action to be made.
Every day people die in our highways, so we think that any action that can stop people to die is a good action for us. So we ask the minister that the campaign should be permanent and action should be also permanent, because when we come, we make it punctually, it's not good. I think that there is to be a new reform of the law of prevention and security on highways.
Hence, he encourages this sensitization campaign and recommends an instant and permanent work to be done.
As we prepare back to school, we talk of feeding, which is simply the act of eating, focusing on what people should eat to reduce the risk of diseases, because a proper feeding is essential from the very early stages of life for proper growth or development and to remain active. Now, what should feeding, or rather should feeding be given to children at the school period, and what will be the consequences of poor feeding? Our student journalist Bate Bridget spoke with a nutritionist and put together this report.
The
The nutritionist starts by suggesting some of the major foods children should take during this back to school.
And what they should eat is of importance. That is more fruit and vegetables, especially in the morning, with the milk, the cereals, for instance.
He go as far as advising parents to do a check-up for any child preparing for back to school.
As far as health is concerned, normally children after back to school, they must see the check-up of every children for the parent to know exactly how healthy are their children.
Feeding children at time before sending them to school is very important, the nutritionist voice out.
If the child is not taking their food at time, for instance, or if the children are not fed very well, the consequences can be in the level of growth, health, and development potential of those children, for instance.
However, feeding is very important as it reduces some natural health problems.
And still on our back to school page, let us look at how religious entities have joined the preparation ahead of the September resumption of school. Evans Williams Jobati caught up with a pastor, Reverend Eno Michael Agbor, who talks on the state of preparations of the site of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon. Take a listen.
The Presbyterian Church in Cameroon has education as one of her mission. That is why the motto of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon, through a video recording, has appealed for parents to send their children to school, and is also appealing that all stakeholders make sure children are exposed to conducive environment for schooling. At the level of Presbyterian Church Simeon, we have started with a 3 days back to school retreat, and some materials have been made available by the congregation through the Diaconal Committee to support children who have to go to school. And so we are in a place of prayer to pray that the academic year 2023-2024 will be a successful one. We are also praying in solidarity with those in communities that have been affected by crisis, like the English-speaking regions. We pray that God Almighty will intervene in the hearts of those who are against the opinion that school should resume, that God will touch their heart to consider the opportunity. We wish everyone the best and pray that parents will have the resources to send their children to school.
Back to School 2023, that was our special page in the news.
And still to come in this newscast, Gabonese ousted President Ali Bongo Ondimba, who is on the house arrest since the early hours of today, has cried out to the international community to come to the aid of his country.
Right now, I'm in the residence. Nothing happening. Nothing is happening. I don't know what's going on. So I'm calling you to make the noise.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to the 2 p.m. news on 88.4 Royal FM and watching us live on Facebook at Royal FM Cameroon. Cameroon is honoring the memory of Adolphe Ngosodin for his contribution to the country's well-being by installing his portrait at the National Museum of Cameroon before joining the pantheon of the national heroes. The portrait of Ngosodin, anointed by the Ngondo, began its journey to Yaoundé with the presence of the governor of the littoral region. A solemn achieving an exhibition ceremony in honor of this new jewel of the national collection is taking place today at the National Museum in Yaoundé. Our journalism intern Brenda Lumto tells us more about Adolphe Ngosodin in this report.
Adolphe Ngosodin was 32 years old when he was executed for having said no to the expropriation plan of the Douala people by the Germans. It has been more than a century since Ngosodin was hanged alongside Rudolf Douala Mangabelt. But what marked people in the journey of this national hero is his courage demonstrated as a private secretary to the king. Faithful among the faithful, he was a man always trusted with secret mission to carry out. Despite his young age, he already took an important responsibilities, a trust that he knew how to deserve by standing out for his intellectual and human qualities, which he put in the service of defending the interests of his people, that of fiercely opposing with the utmost energy the project of expropriation of the Douala people initiated by the German administration. Being aware of the danger hanging over his head, he was nevertheless nevertheless afraid to follow his conviction. Once the German press revealed the government's scandalous action, Ngozodin was arrested by the police on May 15, 1914 in Berlin, then returned to Cameroon a few weeks later. But unfortunately, this denunciation will not prevent the Germans from carrying out their project. To show how far they were prepared to go, they executed Rodolphe Douala Mangabert and Adolphe Ngozodin on August 8, 1914 in the old Douala police station.
We talk politics as the countdown narrows to the closure of the voters' registration on the electoral list. Elections Cameroon continues to fine-tune strategies to ensure a successful and hitch-free presidential and municipal elections come 2025. A permanent regional consultation platform for actors of the electoral process was launched yesterday in Yaoundé and in all 10 regions of the country simultaneously. Yesterday's launch falls within the framework of the National Consultation Platform, which was set up last August the 11th. Our reporter Jean-Marie Anaba, who attended the launch yesterday, caught up with the Vice President of the Electoral Council, Amugu Ekobena Apolline Marie. Take a listen to her speech after the launch.
The choice of this team is because we are preparing elections, and it's important to be prepared before. We don't want to rush at the last time. In order to do it in the best manner, we need to start with the process of revision. Make it attractive for the youth, the women, and the people living with disabilities and the minorities. It's important for each country. Now, credibility and equity are concerned, we need the participation of this process to agree for certain ways of behaviors. For example, to master the electoral code, to respect the other person, to do all the activities related to the electoral process.
And a day after the launching of the regional consultation platform across Cameroon, which will permit exchange between the political entities and the electoral body Elecam in future elections, our reporter Evans Williams Njobati spoke with a political actor who further explains the aims of this platform in the country.
Throwing back at the framework of Elecam's Board Director Eno Abrams Egbe, a couple of days back, the permanent consultation platform officially kicked off yesterday. Speaking with Justin Roger Noir of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement CRM party, says the initiative comes with a lot of mixed feelings on his part.
The Presbyterian Church in Cameroon has education as one of her mission. That is why the moderator of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon, through a video recording, has appealed for parents to send their children.
The party's Assistant Secretary General says the aims of the consultation platform are not clearly stated out, despite praising the move. Roger Noir goes extra miles.
And that's the problem, because people are listening every day, but the numbers on record remain the same, which is favorable.
Above all, the political guru is pleased that election August 31st, 2023.
Out of